We're back and it's Gsxr time. This episode we've got carbon fixes, electrical fixes, tank fixes. It's going to be a fair bit. Let's get into it. So I heard back from Jet Prime and apparently they're telling me that this huge plug here is a Kawasaki plug. I don't know if I believe that. I don't believe that. But the problem still remains is to how do I retrofit this, which I think is for non-USA bikes, to this. So what I'm gonna have to do is pull this back apart, this ignition, and I think I'm gonna slice the wires and see if I can splice in the actual Jet Prime kill switch, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that works. First up, I've got to pull this ignition apart and trace the wires back again. This feels very much like deja vu. So I've got my key and my transponder attached here. So this is my, my reader. So that's all attached and ready to go. Now that's feeding through to the existing plug. So I haven't touched that. Whereas this is, which comes off the actual ignition, has got 4 wires. So this is the dilemma I face, is that this has 2 wires. So I'm gonna have to cut this off around about here, give myself a little bit of space, and then figure out how I join these 2 together. And you know what? I just realized there's 5 wires. How is that even gonna work? So I'm not gonna rush into this. Before I cut any wires, I'm just gonna consult an auto electrician. I thought there was 4 wires, there's actually 5. So that throws a spanner in the works. However, I can now move on to something else to fix. So that's the tank right there. And it's hopefully a very quick and easy fix. So because this is a race bike, this really just needs this little part of the tank fixed up, and I can probably just mix up some body filler, sand around these edges, and then apply body filler and sand it back when I go to paint. So it should be quite easy. So that was super easy. This tank will take a few hours to dry, but I don't actually need it until the next episode. So another small job done. Now I'm gonna try and do something a lot more difficult. I've got to fix all of this carbon fiber on this exhaust. So originally I was gonna go with the silver Yoshi, but then I did some research and the carbon one is worth about $300 more than the simple cone-shaped silver one on the 24-hour bikes. So I think we stick with carbon and fix this, or at least attempt to. So I've just got to remove 2 springs, top and bottom, and then the cradle that's actually holding this pipe in place. And it should be as easy as sliding it off the mid pipe. Sometimes you need a little bit of gentle persuasion. So now super simple, I've just got to drill out these 5 rivets, and that should separate the carbon from the actual steel end piece. And then I can worry about fixing this carbon. Okay, so another job done. I just gotta wait for that resin to set. That'll take a few hours, and then I should just be able to drill straight through it and put that bracket straight back on, and that will be the exhaust fixed. However, something else has just arrived. Overnight, this delivery came, and it's the rear sets. Let me show you what we got. So I picked these up off eBay. These are driven D-Racing or driven D-Axis rear sets, and these are not cheap. Heaps of adjustability, like look at that foot peg adjustability. I don't know if you can see, but you just turn the foot peg and it's on an offset circle there. So you just tighten it up on the back, and then you've got all of this adjustability as well. Before I put these on, I'm going to give them a quick clean, and then take these old brackets off and straight on. So check out what it did to the threads when it ripped off the old ones. Look at that, they are just destroyed. That bracket is kaput. So there is something to be said for the simplicity of these rear sets compared to like a Ducati. With a Ducati, you've got all of the quick, the gear change shifter and everything in the rear set. This one is basically just a bracket with a foot peg. Fully adjustable, so much easier. That took me 30 seconds. And there's one side completely done. Now the second side is not quite as easy. First up, I've got to take the rear master off the bracket itself, and then I can start pulling the bracket off the bike. So rear sets are done, both sides, they're looking awesome. And now we're back onto this, and I think I've figured it out. So I've got my button in place. I've stripped the wires off the original plug that came out of here. And I've joined the orange wire and the red wire onto one of each of the start stops. And there you go. Now I've actually got everything running. So I can go ahead, put that back together, and that's another job done. Just a quick double check. Sweet. So now I can just put this sleeve. I've just got a little bit of rubber sleeve, plastic sleeve here. I can just put it over that, clean that all up, hide that all away and tuck it in behind the dash. And that is a bit more racy, wouldn't you think? Push button instead of a key. So let's check on this tank, and it's still a little bit soft. I'm gonna leave that another day or two to harden. I wanna make sure it's perfectly hard before I start sanding it. Otherwise it just comes off on the sander. It doesn't look good. You're better off leaving it a little bit longer. And it's probably taking longer to dry because I didn't use quite enough hardener, but you're better off using a little bit less, let it harden over time. You'll get a better result. And our exhaust. It's getting there. I can feel the heat still coming through it, so it's still setting. So again, I'm gonna leave that about another day as well to harden, and then we'll get the best result when we drill and rivet that. But that's about it for today. So in the next episode, we've still got a fair bit to go. We've got a fairing, full carbon package. We've got some more custom caliper paint to do. Heaps more to come. Stay tuned, like, subscribe. You know the drill.